Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today, thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, we'll be drafting out a basic bodice pattern. So I did one a while ago. This is an updated version, and this works perfectly for bustier pattern and corset pattern. So I'm going to leave the link of the one I did before in the comment section. You can go ahead and watch it if you're interested. So I'll start by taking the points that we'll be needing for this tutorial. So the first point is distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. The next point is distance from my shoulder to my under bust point, which is 13 inches. The next point is distance from my shoulder to my waist point, which is 16 inches. And the next point is distance from my shoulder to the length of this top, which is 21 inches. So I'm going to rule a straight line across all these points. The next thing I'll do is to take half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. I'll take that on my shoulder line. I'll indicate that like this with a point. And the next thing I'll do is to take my neckline measurement. So I'll be using 3 for the width and 3 for the depth. So I'll be using 3 by 3 inches for my neckline. I'll use my ruler to connect the point together like this, and the next thing I'll do is to go down on the 8 inches, which is half of my shoulder measurement. I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I'll slant from that point into the neckline. To get my chest line, I'm going to go up on my bust point by 2 inches. So whatever measurement your bust point is, for you to get your chest line, you have to go up from your bust point by 2 inches. So I indicated that with a point. So I'm going to rule a straight line across. On the chest line that I just ruled out, I'll make sure I have the 8 inches that I have on the shoulder line. I'll indicate that with a point. So I'm going to connect the 8 inches point on the chest line to meet the 8 inches point on the shoulder line. I'm going to measure the straight line that I just ruled, and I'll divide it into 2. I'll indicate that with a point. On the middle point where I just marked, I'll go in. I'll come inward like this by half an inch. So if you don't understand, just look at what I am doing. And on the chest line, I'm going to place my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll also indicate that with a point. So I'm going to connect from the up to meet the half an inch that I came in with, and to meet my bust point on the chest line. On the bust line, I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 on the waistline, on the UBL, and on the top length, and then I'll connect the point into a straight line. So I'm going to take in my dart. I'm taking it on the waistline, so I'll go out by 0.75 inch on the 2 sides like this, and then I'll connect from there to meet my bust point with my ruler, just like you see me doing. And on the M line, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. I'll indicate that with a point, and then I'll connect the dart to meet the 1 inch like this. The next thing I'll do is to start placing my measurement. So I already have my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. I'll go ahead and add my stitching allowance of 2 inches. And on the waistline, I'm going to take my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the dart, and I'll also add my stitching allowance. And on the top length, I'm going to take my hip circumference divided by 4, and then I'll add my 2 inches stitching allowance. Then I'll connect all these dots into a straight line. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take in my side darts. To do this, you are going to take your measurement, the measurement from your shoulder to your waist for the front, and the measurement from your shoulder to your waist for the back. The waist is the curvy part that you can see here. That's where you are going to stop. Mannequin's own is really obvious. So what I have on this waist point for this mannequin is 16 inches. We'll be taking the same measurement for the waist. I said we'll take from our shoulder measurement to the back waist, okay? So what we had for the front waist was 16 inches, and I'm going to measure from here also to the back waist. You can see this is what we have on the back. The back is shorter than the front by 2 inches. So for the back waistline, we have 14 inches. So you can go ahead and measure yourself. The front and the back waistline is not the same. For this mannequin, the front is 16, the back is 14 inches. I hope you guys understand. So the from my shoulder to my waist for the front is 16 inches, and from my shoulder to my waist for the back is 14 inches. So the difference is 2 inches. So whatever you get, for me it is 2 inches. So I'm going to come down from my bust point by 2 inches. I'll indicate that just like you see me doing, and I'll connect from there to meet my dart leg with a slant like this. After doing that, I'll go ahead and cut. So this is our front pattern. We'll go ahead and cut the back pattern. So for the back pattern, I'm going to take out my zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. I'll connect all these dots into a straight line. So I'll go ahead and start taking my points. The first point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. I'll indicate that with a point and I'll rule a straight line across. The next point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my waist. So like I said before, the distance from my shoulder to my waist for the back is 16 inches. So it is 2 inches shorter than the front. So I'm going to mark the 14 inches. I'll leave a picture for here for you guys to see and understand what I mean. So I'm going to rule a straight line across also. So in order to get the length for this, remember the back is 2 inches shorter than the front. So I cannot take the same measurement. So I'm going to measure from this waist, from the waist of the front to the length, and what I have is 5 inches. So that's what I'm going to place on the back. So from the waist of the front to the top length is 5 inches. So from my waist for the back, I'm going to go down by 5 inches and then I'll rule a straight line across. So we have our bust point, our waistline, and the top length, which you can also call our hip line. So on the shoulder line, I'm going to take half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. I'll indicate that with a point. And for the neckline, I'll take 3 inches for the width, and for the depth, this is the back, so I'm going to just take 1 inch because I don't want it to be too deep. And then I'll use my ruler to connect these dots together. Point where I have half of my shoulder measurement divided by 2, I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I'll slant into the neckline. So to get my chest line, just like we did for the front, I came up by 2 inches from my bust point and I ruled a straight line across. So we already have our chest line. So on the chest line, I'm going to make sure I have 8 inches, just like I have on the shoulder line. I'll indicate that with a point, and then I'll connect the 2 points from the chest line to meet the shoulder slant like this. Just like we did for the front also, I'm going to measure the straight line that I have here and I'll mark the middle point. On the chest line, I'm going to place my bust circumference divided by 4, and then I will indicate that with a point. So we don't need to go inward by half an inch like we did for the front. I'll just go ahead and connect these dots. I'll just blend it into the armhole like this. So we are done with the back armhole. The next thing I will do is to take in my dart. So on my chest line, I'll take my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll do the same thing on my bust point, on my waistline, and on the hip line, and I'll connect the dots into a straight line. On my chest line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and on the waistline, I'm going to take in my dart. So I'll take 0.75 inch on the left and I'll take 0.75 inch on the right, and then I'll connect to meet the 1 inch that I came down with. On the hem line, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches just like I did for the front, and then I'll connect from the waistline to meet the 1.5 inch like this. So the next thing I'll do is to start placing my measurements. On the chest line, I already have my bust circumference divided by 4, so I'm going to add 2 inches for stitching allowance. On the waist, I'll take my waist circumference divided by 4, I'll replace my dart and I'll add 2 inches for stitching allowance. On the hem line, I'll take my hip measurement divided by 4 and I'll add 2 inches for my stitching allowance. I'll go ahead and blend in my armhole, and the next thing I'll do is to adjust my zipper area. So I already have 1.5 inch for the zipper allowance. I'll go ahead and take out 1 inch from the hem line and I'll slant to meet the chest line like this. So this is to avoid any form of bulginess when I attach my zip. Everything is going to lay flat. So this is how I adjust my zipper area. After doing that, I'll go ahead and cut. So I'm done cutting. This is the back and this is the front. So you can see that the front is obviously longer than the back. That is because of the side dart that we have. So by the time I take in my side dart, you see that the front and the back will be the same. I'm not going to take it now, but all you have to do is to slash through and then you cover one up like this. Like I said before, this pattern works perfectly for bustier and corset pattern. So yeah, I hope this tutorial was helpful. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.